I wanted something scalable. So to me, this was the new thing to generate active income in a scalable way that like the sky's the limit.
And it's big picture thinking as well, right? A lot of business owners will come in and go, okay, I'm going to make 10 calls a day and that's going to be my goal. And it's like, great, that works for you. The reason they're doing that is because they don't want to spend the money on having a call center start making the calls for them. Yeah. But guess what? Put a little bit of cash up front, you know, run your tolerances and grow your business quicker.
And Andrew, give us some metrics like how many leads are you guys calling a month? You know, how many offers are you writing? How many deals are you getting? Like,
we can scale what we do if we can just empower others to do the work and we support them. Welcome back to REI Hot Seat. Andrew Hines here with the crew. Jake, Zach, we're missing Dave, but anyways.
Almost the full crew.
We rarely have the full crew, but we got 4 seats here.
It's musical chairs.
Yeah.
Right? And you're getting one of us. So
there you go.
Yeah. This actually works way better as an arrangement because Jake's too busy and it used to be just Jake. So when he would flake, then it was just me and that gets awkward. So I'm talking to myself here, although I do that enough. So anyways.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, guys, thanks for doing this. So we were just working on what we were going to talk about today and we had a deal. It was 9-plex for like some ridiculous price under 300,000.
Yeah, like 290,000.
Yeah.
Insane.
But we don't even have the numbers. We were like fabricating what the numbers might be. And we're going to have hey, this is how I look at a deal episode. But then I just got an email where we firmed up a deal at 35 cents on the dollar in Florida. And the guys are like, hey, let's talk about that.
That's also cool. So we'll do the 299-plex next episode.
Yeah, when we get the info on that one, that's crazy. Yeah. I mean, we were talking about that off camera. It's just like, how do you lose on that? I'm not saying you can't. Yeah. But that's the odds are probably more in your favor getting numbers like that.
A lot lower risk at that price.
Yeah.
I just think like, and it's located up north for anybody curious why it's located or why the price is what the price is, right? But I always think about this and I go like, we drive through the States all the time and you're like, oh, so cheap. It's so cheap when you drive through these little towns, right? In the middle of nowhere. And then
you got to put it in context.
Right? Because upstate New York, like not much around. They're pretty cheap, but
to a degree, though. But if I'm buying for less than replacement cost in a city that already has infrastructure, in a province that does not have enough housing, I'm feeling better about that.
Right. Feeling a lot better about that. Yeah. Right, $290 a door or $290 for 9 units up there. Like, what is that price per door? Yeah, we do that math, like 40,000.
I think it was like 35
it's in that
ballpark.
Something like that. Like, come on, that's at least half of like anything we've seen. Even seeing $100,000 a door is like, knock the door down. Let's check this one out.
And to hit 1% rule, if it's $400 a door, what is $400?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Sorry, what are we talking per door? It would be 40 grand a door.
40,000.
So 1% rule, you got to hit $400.
I think that's doable.
2% rule, you're 800. I think you're more linking 3% rule.
I mean, you never know. Some legacy tenants up there, they could be in there for $400 a month, maybe even less.
Does it have a roof?
Way up north. Yeah. Is it just a tent? 9 tents?
Anyways, we didn't want to talk about this. Is next week, so let's go into this next week.
No, but I don't mind the riffing thing. This works well for podcast format, which we are on podcast platform now. You can check us out on Spotify, so you can watch the video there, or you can just turn off the screen and listen. So, I think that works really well for the format of this show. Like, I like that we're on YouTube, but like we can just talk about it, cool stuff we're working on. It doesn't always need to be watching.
Yeah. So, like a deal you got for 35 cents on the dollar in the US.
Yeah.
Like, Andrew, walk us through that. How the hell do you get a deal?
You just dropped that bomb on us right before we started.
So nonchalantly, just 35 cents on the dollar. Like, that's cheap.
We're closing it this week. So, probably starting next week. Anyways, so we've just got our cold callers kind of going, and then we have a monstrous list of leads that we still have not called, which is paining me because we have over $10,000 US dollars in leads that have not even been contacted.
And where are you getting the leads from?
So we had up until this week, we just downgraded from 5 to 4 because we had too many leads and not enough of our acquisitions managers calling them. So cold callers.
Got it.
So we were pulling lists, public data, and just blowing up people's phones with a triple dialer saying, hey, do you want to sell your property? And of course, most people say, bugger off, don't call me or whatever. Right. But then there's the ones that say, yes, I would consider it. And out of those, we have a closing rate. So our team internally is they only get involved. They only get involved when we have an actual lead. Mm-hmm. So there's somebody who said, I want to sell, give me a call. And out of those, we have hundreds that haven't been called yet, which is a good problem.
And you're talking, and you're talking. So when we're talking about this land you're buying, 30 cents on the dollar, whatnot, what are you buying here? Like, this is raw land, development land?
Nah, this one's just shy of 20 acres. It's woods. It's like good hunting land, but it's just right off of there's an interchange on, I think it's Highway 75, I-75. So you basically just jump off the highway, like the big interstate, and you're like 3 minutes from the on-ramp.
Right on.
Wow.
So if you wanted to hunt, you can build a house on there.
Yeah. So you're just trading land. This is what we're talking about here.
Yeah, primarily. Like, we're doing houses too, but the way we had it set up was 4 callers for land, 1 caller for houses.
Got it.
So,
Nice.
but I think there's way more, in a sense, like in terms of volume of deals, transactions, it's actually easier to do houses because there's just so many more houses than there are 10 to 20 acre, 100 acre parcels of land.
And this land would never be developed in the future. This is more like you said, you build a house on it, maybe hunting land. This is not like a future development play.
Yeah, no, I specifically shy away from that because the second development comes into play, you start placing values on land that I can't compare apples to apples.
Right.
Like for quick comparison, I don't like development land because I have to dig far too deep into the numbers to understand it.
Yeah.
So you want to look at direct comparison approach. You want to say, I'm buying this piece of forest. That piece of forest sold for this. I'm buying for this. This means I can make a profit of X, right?
Simple.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Our workflow is like, so our acquisitions managers, which work for us on commission, so they take 10% of profit of a deal. They basically call the leads, negotiate the contract, send it off. Like, I just hit sign on my phone when it comes to me for DocuSign. And then it goes into a conditional period, at which point, like, they call the realtors we work with, they get comps. Like, we already have our comps when we offer because it's Zillow. Like, down there in the States, you can comp something so easily.
Right.
Yeah.
But then we get our local realtor opinion. At that point, it's like, okay, we've got something. They throw it into we use Trello, and they just throw it into my column for approval. So Matt and I do a deep dive.
Nice.
And this one had some hair on it. So the seller had signed an agreement, not even an agreement. She said, I give this hunter permission to hunt on my land. Didn't even specify the parcel. Like, and, signed it off. And our acquisitions manager just fired everything she sent off to our title company. Well, the title company sees it and says, oh, well, they're probably going to put that as an exception on your title policy. I'm like, no, they are not. Because the second that happens, now when we go to sell it to a future buyer, they're going to say, what's this exception here on our title insurance?
That's almost like an easement.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You're giving somebody just the exclusive assets.
But the thing is, like, this was basically toilet paper. You know, a contract, like the elements of a contract, you have to have a consideration, meeting of the minds, meaning both people signed it, all that. No money exchanged, only one signature, unilateral. And it didn't even specify a property. So we're like, you have to be kidding me. We thought we were about to lose, like, to date, this is the lowest price in terms of cents on the dollar, like 35 cents on the dollar.
It's incredible.
Yeah, we have not got something that low. And we're like, oh, of course, there had to be hair. Well, sure enough, nice old lady selling it. The hunter didn't want to screw things up. So our guy just called him up, said, hey, we don't want to have to offer her less money because of this. Like, would you just sign the release? And he's like, yeah, okay. So we circulated it, signed a release, no problem. That satisfied the title company, and now we're off to the races.
Nice.
Yeah, so what's the lesson there? Don't let people hunt on your land?
Well, I mean, I think that, like, you have to know when to give up on a deal and when not to. Like, sometimes they become obviously too hairy, and like the biggest, the expression is the juice worth the squeeze. Like, there are so many deals that come that it's just not. Like, I just evaluated a 5-acre parcel that's got tons of wetlands. Like, the wetlands literally block your ability to develop because you'd have to cross them, but the environmentalists won't let you put a driveway over it. So we're looking at that. It's landlocked. You have to go through the neighbor's property. There is an easement to access, but the other neighbor put his fence in the way.
Yeah, you told me about this one.
Yeah, so it's just like, oh my God. And the potential profit on the deal is like 10 grand. I'm like, guys, this is not worth any of our time. Let's just move on to a more profitable deal. But sometimes we end up doing these because our acquisitions managers have worked on them and they already got everybody to do everything. I just worry that in the process down the line, I'm going to get phone calls about stuff and say, wait, how much are we making here from me having this conversation?
Right.
Yeah, a couple pennies.
And what? So I'm curious, just to back it up a little bit, like why land? Because this approach you could do with anything, right?
Well, we do
really
anything too.
Yeah.
But people are emotional about their home, and there's a timing that I have to be involved to flip a home. Like, I have to go in, I have to find local contractors, clean it out. We got to paint it. You take your listing photos. It's not that bad if it's just a quick and dirty renovation, which we're doing one of those now, which we kind of stole that one too.
Right.
Basically a house and land for 50 cents on the dollar.
Right.
Nice.
So, we like those too, but with land, like we literally closed this, or we're closing this. We'll have it on the market for sale next week.
Right.
Wow.
Like, how do you do better than that?
Right.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'd say the con to land is people aren't emotional on the sell and they're not emotional on the buy either. Maybe. I don't think so. Whereas on houses, there's an inherent need for houses. Right. So on that side of things.
So the purchase is more difficult with a home, but the sale might be easier.
Yeah.
Vice versa on the land.
Easily.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, you're saying the process is more difficult than with the house. But on the land, if priced right, I mean, I think you just got to expect 1 to 2 months to sell any piece of land, even if you price well. And that to me is a guy that's not inherently patient, isn't my favorite.
Yeah.
It's, you have to kind of like just keep stacking the funnel and then appreciate the offers you get. Like we got an offer on one on our sell side. So, and now we didn't even close on those are double closes. So we learned this when we have stuff that doesn't meet our metric of 50 cents on the dollar, we'll do what's called a double close. If it's still got some meat on the bone, which means we just write the offer, but we get permission to market the property for sale, and we'll double close it on the actual closing day to the end buyer. We'll buy it and sell it to them. And it just takes the risk away from us in terms of we get stuck with a property we don't want to hold.
That's incredible. And Andrew, give us some metrics. Like, how many leads are you guys calling a month? How many offers are you writing? How many deals are you getting? Like, what's kind of the average? You might not know exact numbers.
I need to track them better, but I would say, like, I used to really, really follow our caller metrics, but I'm trusting the call center to do a pretty good job. The leads keep flowing in. But I'd say how many people they're calling when the list gets old, they might call 10,000 calls in a day, 10,000 dials for one caller.
Wow.
So they're using a triple dialer, meaning that the same person on that list is getting more than one call a day until they pick up. So they're not leaving messages. That when the list is new, they might only call 2,000 or 3,000 in a day.
Okay.
So and then out of that, you're going to have X number pick up. They could have several hundred conversations in that day. Some of them are as much as no thanks, hang up, or F you, or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm glad I don't do that job.
Me too.
And then leads wise, like on a great day, one of these callers might bring in more than 10 leads. On a bad day, they might bring in none. Usually we're hovering around any caller getting 70 to 100 leads over the course of 4 weeks. So that's kind of how that works. So with 4 callers, like we're pretty confident we're going to bring in, 350 to 400 leads in a month.
Wow.
And out of those, we'll make offers. Like if our guys are talking to 10 people in a day, we're making multiple verbal. Our goal with our team is to make 10 verbal offers in a day. Now they do need to put their heads down to do that, but that is doable. And out of the verbal offers, some of those will escalate to paper. Some of our AMs, like everything's a paper. Hey, even if you're not interested, like as long as they're entertaining it, let me fire you over the paper, like just so you have something to think about. Like if they say they want to think about it, okay, well let me send you the offer so you have something to think about.
Right.
That's how you get these. Like these are what Matt calls lay down sales. Like people that just had the number they wanted. You know what? I paid 65 for it. Give me 65. I'm happy. Okay.
Yeah.
No commission. You get 65.
Nothing.
We cover closing costs. Cool. You got it.
Yeah.
And that was this one. And then we got another one, house in like Alachua, which is like Gainesville. And they had like a 360 something number they wanted. House and the land together should be worth like 650, 700.
Oof. That's a good upside.
So you're doing this just in Florida?
Yeah. We're just all 67 counties in the state of Florida. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Florida. I feel drawn to Florida.
Yeah.
But, big reason not to go elsewhere in my mind was that would be a cop-out because there's no reason I need to go out of that state at this point in time.
Right.
Like, we can make millions of dollars in this state and then we'll think about expanding.
Something that's still on my mind. I don't know if anybody else caught it. In the United States, these are public lists you guys are pulling from. Like that doesn't exist in Canada.
Yeah, it's dirty. It's really like here in Canada, you at least have the illusion it's your private home. In the States, for all the things I appreciate about the U.S. as a homeowner, I would not appreciate this. Is like every element of your personal private home is public record.
That's crazy.
They have sketches of your floor plans available on the county website. The warranty deed that conveyed the property title to you is available for anybody to access on the county website.
Do you know why that is? Like what
I don't.
What rules or laws do they? Okay.
I don't know why that is.
No rules, no laws.
Well, it's effectively the same thing here. It's all public info here. It's just harder to get. You got to go to City Hall. Yeah. Like you can still find that
you
info.
Sit down on the computer in the City Hall.
Yeah, I used to do that. I used to do that all the time. Yeah, and if you could do what we do down there here, like think about the fact that like just nobody's getting these calls because people can't find them. Yeah. Like down there, we're doing all this and we're getting their property data, which is we use a service that effectively compiles it all from public record. Like they get it off the county websites and they compile it, aggregate it. And then we take that list, it fits our criteria, land between 5 and 10 acres, land between 10 and 20 and whatever. And then we go to a skip tracer, which they use the credit bureau data to like match up the address and find out, okay, that's John Smith. Here are the 4 known phone numbers ordered with the most likely you're going to get them to the least likely.
Wow.
So, our cold callers will try that one. If they got the wrong one, they'll go to the next number. It's
unbelievable.
Absurd.
Like that's what I mean. You said that at the beginning and you kind of glazed over it. And I'm like, my mind just kept going back to it. I'm like, public lists you guys are pulling from and getting leads from and getting deals like that, 35 cents on the dollar. Now, mind you obviously had to make probably 50, 60,000 calls to get there.
Yeah. The cold call center really takes it off of us. I mean, it's expensive. Like we're over $10,000 a month in spend. US, everything's US dollars, obviously. Yeah. And we've spent a lot. Like we're 50,000 plus, not made a dime, plus buying these houses. But now it's about to flow. Now it's about to go.
Did you write the script for the cold calls? Did they write the script? I'm curious because like I get cold calls all the time, and as soon as I know it's a triple dialer or a double dialer or whatever. Yeah. Because there's that pause. Yeah. Right. You pick up. You're like, hey. Yeah, and then I hang up right away because I'm like, no, I
hang up a lot on those too, which obviously everybody else is too. So there is an efficacy. There are certain people will never get with that approach, right? Yeah. But there's also a huge sea of people we will,
right? Yeah, the masses, just a numbers game.
Yeah. Plus, we have all the ones that like we couldn't do a deal. Like we have categorizations. We use Podio, so some people are tagged as offer made, follow up, and we can follow up with them in 3 months time, say, hey, we made an offer a little while back, are you still interested? We'd still be interested in buying, we'd love to chat with you, figure out if they budge. Maybe before they said they wouldn't come off this number, well, now it's been 3 months.
And that's like that's across the board. That's real estate 101, like just constant follow-up, having that CRM, having that organization to say, hey, we'll touch base in a few months, right? And I've always tried to, I'll give people timelines, right? I'll be like, hey, you know what? Great. You're not ready right now. Why don't I call you in 2 months? And like basically the 2-month anniversary of that date, I'm giving them a call, right? And they're like, oh, wow, like you hold yourself to that. And it's like,
and that's what you need to do. Like one of the struggles we're having is we brought on all these acquisitions managers and they'll fill the top of their funnel until they get a couple of deals they're working. And now they are not calling as many new leads because they're working deals. And it's hard to fault them for that. Like
because that's where they're going to make their money.
They're making the money, and I don't fault them. So it's a delicate balance of you're filling the funnel, but you're working the deals, and maybe you use the morning to make your 40 calls, and then you go into working deals.
Could you set it up where you have the people that fill their funnel just work the funnel? As soon as there's a live deal, it goes off to somebody else who then just works the deals.
Yeah.
Right.
Almost like a deal processing section and then just like a transaction manager, somebody like that.
Well, here's the thing, because like the cold caller effectively does that. These are people that said they want to sell their property. The issue is like now you got to call that person again. Who's probably getting called by another cold caller, now getting another dial from a number they don't recognize. Even though they were told, expect a call, there's still so many people who come in our lead funnel that just don't ever pick up.
Makes sense.
So, the 40 calls in the morning, like a lot of them, you're just weeding through, I want top dollar, or I want this. Okay, next.
And are you making those calls, Andrew?
No, that's our acquisitions manager.
Got it.
So
when do you get on the phone?
I only speak with our acquisitions managers. I speak with our realtors. I speak with our title companies, professionals, lawyers, attorneys, they call them down there. I don't end up actually speaking with any of the buyers.
That's the way it should be.
Sellers.
What would you call this right now? Would you call this a side hustle, part-time job, full-time job?
Oh, this is the new direction. Yeah. Cause I used to do construction management and I was getting into all that stuff, running my own construction company. And the tone in Ontario was been changing for some time now, and you know, the writing was on the wall with this. So I just decided I'm not gonna keep, and that was hard work, by the way, like really fucking hard and unthankful work, and you know, huge coordination. I wanted something scalable. So to me, this was the new thing to generate active income in a scalable way that, like, the sky's the limit. Like there's no cap here. Like we can just keep building out the systems and keep growing the business. And of course, like, fundraising is a part of it. Matt's extremely good at that. And but the funny thing is with these double closes, the title company's investor friendly. The guy will fund the double closes.
Nice.
The title company.
That's amazing.
So he's like, yeah, I'm good for about 400, 500. If you need more than that, you got to give me a heads up so I can, you know, pull some strings. He'll charge 0.5% to like fund our close that day. So we don't even have to raise the money.
Incredible.
I will still, like, you know, I have cash sitting down there specifically for when deals come up that I want to be able to pounce. Yep. So I'll fund those. Like, that's fine. We'll save the 0.5%. But if a really big behemoth comes in, like we were going to do a 750 house. So we got a house in Fort Lauderdale for 750. There is not a sale in that neighborhood for under $1 million. Right. And we were going to let it go. We're like, 750 US, that's a lot of money to raise. But even if we price it at $999, we should have quick sale on that. It's a teardown. Like, it's in an area where you just tear the house down.
Right. But even teardowns are going for $1 million.
Yeah. There's nothing that sells under $1 million.
That actually kind of leads me into my thought process too. Could you almost act as a service where if, like, Jake wants to go buy himself a nice cottage down in Florida, like a nice vacation home, can Jake come to you and say, hey, Andrew, I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in this pocket. Can you guys make calls specifically in that area? Here's my budget.
We can micro target very, very specifically. Now,
would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more like, and we're building out a wholesale list. Matt's been kind of running that up, and we've already got, you know, the first day over 100 people opted in. They want, like, ready, I want to buy deals in Florida. So yes, but it's also hard to predict who's going to say yes. Like, we could do an entire campaign on the East Coast and get nothing on that campaign. Or we could get like 3 deals, 4 deals, 5 deals in a month. So
that's always the thing. Like, the way you're doing is the right way. You want to have the list of buyers and you bring the product that you find to them, right? But when you have to start hunting specific product,
that was more selfish. I'm just thinking,
I'm looking, like, if anything in Naples comes across, you bet my eyes on it.
Well, so that was going to be my closing question. Actually, my closing question was going to be, so Andrew, what are you buying out of that list? Right? Are you holding land? Are you interested in land?
This is a pure transactional short-term money play. But of course, like, Matt,
that can turn into a midterm and long-term money play.
So Matt and I are, you know, one of our talks with our team this week was like, you guys are not pitching creative financing enough. You're not pitching sub 2 enough, which those are ways that we can get cash flowing properties with a long-term mortgage on them that, you know, for a Canadian, you know, you don't have residency down there. You're getting, like, we could get bank rates. We could take over somebody's 2% mortgage payment. And that's the stuff that we're excited about, because we want to build out a portfolio of that. We'll bring in joint venture partners for all of it. We're not even out of pocket on it, and we'll amass a monstrous portfolio. So, and I want to do that for the ones, because if they're not going to take our 70 cents or 60 cents on the dollar offer, there's tons of wholesalers that are calling them offering those numbers. We can then offer, hey, Mr. Seller, you want full, you know, market value? I'll give you market value, but you got to give me terms. Right. You give me the mortgage. You allow me to take over your mortgage, and you know, basically you win. We both win. So we're good with that. Like, we're good to pay full market value of the property if we're getting there, you know, 27 years at 2%. Like, I'll take it. Because think about the certainty that comes with that. Like, you don't have to worry. Years. They do it right in the US. Wow. Like, the mortgage, the long-term mortgages versus in Canada, every 5 years, you got a chance to lose your home if interest rates go the wrong direction and you're not able to renew into the
What's the pros and cons of both of those systems?
Well, the con with the 30-year mortgages is, I think for the first 5 years there is a penalty to pay them out, but after that it's.
But there's a penalty in Canada any year you pay.
Sure, any of them. Yeah, it decreases each year.
Yeah.
So if, you know, it'll be higher, and then in the 4th year it's lower, and then after the 5th year it's nothing. Don't quote me on that because I haven't gone there yet.
But if you get a 5-year fixed here, you're still penalty.
You're paying penalties. Yeah. So no, they're just better off. Like, you have like their entire housing market is protected and insulated from what's happening in Canada right now and what's likely to happen in a housing market specifically, because people are not forced to renew. Like they don't have to move. You could list your house for sale. If you don't get the number you want, you just stay.
And it's not going to.
You don't have to move. And I think a lot of that, they're not worried about a renewal coming up. Whereas in Canada, you got people that are, like, well, we got one more year before we renew from 2% to 5%. And they're thinking, how are we going to?
And that's a make or break. Like there's a lot of people that have I've had conversations where they're like, I can't pay the new rate. Like we're done.
Yeah.
And it's scary.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's where, like, of course, we're going to keep refining. Like, we've just been working with our team. This is all so new. Like, we're 4 months into this, and our acquisitions managers that we spent the most time with, like, they're really starting to hit their stride. Like, all of a sudden, one day, we got our first double close, and then it was like 3 more over the next week. Yeah. And we have all these listings now, and just asking our guys, like, what changed? They're like, well, I just got fed up because we weren't getting enough saying yes to the 50 cents on the dollar, but they were saying yes to 70 cents.
Right.
And we could still make money. I'm like, great. I'm glad that, like, necessity dictated that you start pitching that.
Right.
Yeah.
And
perfect.
Yeah. So it's a really cool, like, system. And I gotta, like, hats off to Matt for, like, a lot of the architecture of what we do. With the acquisitions manager, he's done that for a long time in his Canadian business. And that's why I wanted to work with him, is he had all the expertise in how to run this business. I had a lot of Florida specific expertise. So we just merged it together. And the land was a thing that he didn't do. So we just applied what he was doing with houses to the land.
Nice.
And so far it's been good. It's been
I love that the refreshing opinion on things, the new look on things, right? Like doing this with land is different, unique, at least from what
you can comp
a lot of our circles, right?
You can comp it, like everything above, everything above like the 5 acre tracts, like you just get a price per acre. Like you're an 8, you're a 10. Like people just know, realtors look at it, buyers look at it. Well, there's a price per acre you pay. So it becomes very comparable. Is it high and dry, or there's a wetland? Yes, there's variables, but you learn it. So the biggest thing that I do for our team is, like, I'm the expert in how to value those pieces of land and how to compare them, and I'm just teaching them. Like and I like that arrangement, right? Because all of us, like, we've got, like, a lot of knowledge. Like, we can scale what we do if we can just empower others to do the work and we support them. Yeah. So
that's super cool business.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. We've gone on. This is a little longer, but
well, you're passionate about it, so we want to let you go, man.
Hopefully,
35 cents on the dollar.
There we go.
Yeah, man. Great deals to be had.
I think whether or not you're going to do wholesaling land or doing this is great. I think there is a lot of important takeaways from here, which is
business
just
building, right?
Fundamental business building, right? Outsourcing
systems
and systems, right? So anybody, whether it's flipping homes, buying multifamily, buying businesses, whatever, washing driveways, I don't care what you're doing. Like the systems that Andrew's using are relative to all of that. Right.
And just think, if you can't find good deals, are you making 20,000 calls a day or a week?
And I'm not even doing that, but I am using the systems, and I have to realize, like, that would not be my strength. I would suck at that. But there are other people who would be good at it.
Yeah, it's big picture thinking as well, right? A lot of business owners will come in and go, okay, I'm going to make 10 calls a day, and that's going to be my goal. And it's like, great, that works for you. The reason they're doing that is because they don't want to spend the money on having a call center start making the calls for them. Yeah. But guess what? Put a little bit of cash up front, run your tolerances and grow your business quicker, because 10 calls a day is
I will say, like,
not enough.
I'm in some masterminds of people that, like, do this. Like, I'm not the only land buyer, and I see a lot of playing smaller, and I get it. Like, I see a lot of people who are cool with little deals that'll make like $2,000 or $3,000, and they'll buy for like $4,000 and sell for $8,000. And, like, we won't even touch that.
But I feel like even the risk of tying it up and going through the legal process to do that for $2,000, like, is that worth it? Like,
no, not at all. Like, in my mind, but other people, they in that group, they will say, and what I see is, like, a lot of people, like, they would not spend the $50,000 US.
Right.
But then, like, that again, Matt was coming from the background of, he spent $1,000 a lead in Canada.
Yeah.
So I'm coming to him, I'm saying, hey, like, $40 a lead. He's like, you got to be kidding me. He's like, that's a joke. Right. So he's saying that. Meanwhile, we got all these other people in this mastermind, and many of them are scared to spend $1. Like, one guy was posting, like, I've spent $7,000 to date, haven't got a deal yet. I'm like, I'm not going to say what I've spent.
I'm just going to sit here quietly.
Yeah.
But, the flip is, like, you see it, you see the deals, and you got to have the stomach to get through watching that money go, knowing that if you don't act on it, it's gone. You might as well set it on fire.
Yeah.
And that, for most people, they wouldn't do it. I wouldn't have done it. That's why it's great to have a partner in it that kind of helps me feel like empowered to do it.
Yeah.
Calculated risks.
Right on.
Yeah, cool. All right, guys. So that was a different episode. We'll be back next week probably talking about that Sault Ste. Marie deal because, hey, that's cool.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Sounds good.
See you then. Thanks, guys.
Take care.